What's going on, guys? Welcome to your 12th tutorial in the intermediate series. I know it's been a long time, but I will make it up to you because I probably will have a bunch of free time, most likely getting fired here pretty soon, so I'll be able to make some tutorials for you. This is what we're going to do in today's tutorial is pull up a list item or a spinner of all of our saved files within our application, because again we've created a, created a internal storage where we can label a file such as awesome, so we can save that file now and go back to reading our data, and we'll have that new feature within our spinner here as well. That's all we're going to do for today's tutorial. Then we'll eventually load it, and it'll load up the actual text that we saved in this text view down here. So what we need to do is open up our spinner class, our reading activity, and before we jump into this tutorial, if you guys downloaded the code from the website, go into your manifest, and under the reading class, this was internal store, so change that to be reading, and you'll be able to run our application. Otherwise it'll crash. So just make that note. Another thing for you guys to note is we're starting to include our source file on the website for each tutorial, so you can make sure you download that there. And just quickly to show you how to import that, some people don't know this, but just right click new, and you can either say Android project here or the other tab, go into the Android project, hit next, and browse for an existing source here, and then locate that file you downloaded, hit open, and you probably want to rename it to be Android, 2012, something like that, for each file. Not 2012, I'm sorry, the 2.0 series, and then tutorial 12. I've already got this project in my file, but then just hit finish and everything will be into Eclipse. You'll be able to run that application as long as you don't have the same identifier as the name, which you might, and I'll cover that at the end of the tutorial when we try running this application. So let's go back into our reading class, and we're going to set up our spinner and get the information that we saved from our internal store class, and it's going to be done quite simply. I'm just deleting some of the imports as I was testing this out. Alright, so within our onCreate method, we want to load up the data that we saved into our spinner, so we have the actual file names, right? So let's just create a new function called getFileNames, and then create that function by hovering over and create that method. So what we need to do when we're working with spinners is you have a string array, or what you can do, I should say, is you have a string array, you turn that string array into a list, and then you create an array adapter out of the list, and then set the adapter to the spinner. So again, the spinner is just looking for an array adapter, and we're just converting the files as they come. So first, let's just learn how to get the files that we saved into our application, and we're going to turn that into a string array. So we're just going to call this like file names, something like that. And it's incredibly easy to get all of our privately stored data for our application. We just have to relate to the get application context method, and then just say dot file list, and that will return a string array of all the private data that we saved, or all the file names of the data that we saved privately for our application. Pretty awesome, right? So the next thing that we want to do is we want to be able to cycle through that data and set up a spinner for each individual file name that we have. So let's create a quick for loop to cycle through all of our information. So we're just going to say int I equals 0 as long as I is less than however many file names there are. So we're going to refer to our string array, and then we're going to see how many items are within that string array by saying length. You guys probably should be familiar with that if you checked out my Java series before coming to Android. But anyways, again, all we're doing is cycling through each individual file name there is. And to test out that this is working, we're going to log.d, and then we're going to say file name, and then we're going to refer to the specific file name that's being cycled through. We're going to throw the I in there. So now we just have to add our imports, and we can run this. And then under the logcat, when you run your application and open up the reading activity, you should get some notes down here, such as file names, trav or fa, trav, awesome. Those are our file names within our application's context. And as you can see, it's cycling through each file name, and it's working perfectly. So now we have to find a way to convert all of these file names into a list. So let's create a list of the type string. I know you guys probably haven't worked with list a whole lot because I haven't really done a lot of tutorials on spinners or anything like that that really need a list, but it's just called a list, and we're giving it the type of string. We're gonna give this name as list. Makes sense, right? It's gonna be a new array list, and all we're doing is creating a list out of an array pretty much. And again, this is gonna be of the type string because again, we're converting this string array into a list. All right, it's supposed to look like that. Okay, so add our imports. Now, how we add a list, it's pretty simple. If we were creating a list just out of nothing, we just do list add, you know, item 1 or whatever, and then we have a new item within our list. But again, as we just proved, we already have what we want to list out here. It's our file names. So instead of saying item 1, we're just going to refer to our file names at the position of I. Again, the I is going to change each time we go through the for loop, and it's going to cycle through each one of our file names as we proved here. Again, we don't need to debug anything or log anything, so we can comment out that log system now. Simple enough, right? All we've done is created a list out of all the file names that we've saved to our application. The next thing that we have to do is we need to create an array adapter because again, our spinner is looking for an array adapter. We can throw that line in real quickly. We're going to refer to our spinner and again set adapter, and we need some sort of an adapter. So we're just going to say our file name adapter. Again, we haven't created this adapter yet, but that's how a spinner works. It's looking for some sort of an adapter. So now we have to create this file name adapter and somehow create it out of this list that we just set up. Okay, it's going to be pretty easy. Just do array adapter. Again, it's going to be of the type string, and we're going to give it the name that we just set up here, and we're going to set this to a new array adapter. We're going to relate to the one that has 3 parameters: the context, again our application's context, the int, that's going to be kind of the style of our spinner item that we want, gives it a little bit of swag, you know, and then lastly our list here. So it's going to be this third one down. So for context, we're just going to relate to the context of this class or this activity, and that should work for our context. Our style or our swag is going to be a little bit different. We're going to relate to the Android class r.layout. And we have a bunch of different styles we could have, such as a simple drop down item line 1. That's kind of what I have set up on this one. It looks a little bit weird right here because that graphic is being stretched out. Doesn't look the best, but you guys can test out a few different ones. Like, let's just try simple list item 1, something like that. You guys, like I said, you can mess around with what type of style you want your list items to have. And then lastly, we need to relate to our list that we set up. So it's just going to be list. And something went wrong. Oh, the type here. So we want our type, again, to be string. So now we have everything set up for our spinner item. We should be done with this tutorial. I know it's a little bit confusing because if you have been following my tutorials, we haven't worked with a list or an array adapter before, but you know, it's just one of those new things that you're like, okay, I don't really care what it is. I see how it works, and all I wanted you guys to know is how easy it is to get a list of all of our file names that we save privately with the internal storage example that we used. So now we populate our list or our spinner. Let's just save this, run it, make sure everything works. Oh, and the other thing, that if you guys download this tutorial, let me get to it in a sec. I just want to make sure this works. And it doesn't. Oh, okay. It does work, but the stylizing has it be white. As you can see here, you can't really read the text unless if you kind of click and hold it. So maybe that style isn't the best. Maybe you want to go back to the simple drop down item line 1, something like that. But it is working. The other thing I want to show you guys, if you guys did download that project from our website, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to delete any other application that has that same identifier. Otherwise, it's not gonna be able to install in your application. So go into the settings, applications, manage applications, and then find the identifier, which is com.mybringback.theworks. or my 4.0 series, as I can see here. Click that bad boy, and there's a few things we can do within here. We can clear data. This is a side note because we did save some internal data, so you can clear that occasionally if you want to start over, create a different list of items or anything. But again, if you downloaded the project from the website, you won't be able to install it if you already have an application with the same identifier. So just click uninstall and then install the one that you download from the website. But hopefully you guys have a different identifier. Most likely you didn't put my bring back following the tutorial series, but I just wanted to make mention of that. Again, thanks for watching these videos. First and foremost, subscribing, telling your friends, and especially donations, because I have a feeling those are going to be coming in handy real soon. So thanks again, guys, and make sure you check out the next tutorial. See you later.